This is Meghan Markle's sickest stunt yet. This weekend, she decided to invoke the memory of dead Princess Diana in a deliberate attempt to terrorize her long-suffering husband, Prince Harry.
Prince Harry has finally reached his breaking point, and this time, not even royal walls could contain it.
This is gross and grim and deranged on every level.
People close to him say the second he saw Meghan's video, filmed near the tunnel where his mother died, something inside him broke.
And she thinks that's a win, Brittany? No, we see you, Meghan. We see you, and now the world sees you.
No calm statement, no silence, just rage. Because for Harry, that tunnel isn't history, it's the night that changed everything.
This is her in the car videoing herself with her legs up as she went past the tunnel in which Diana Spencer was so tragically killed in Paris.
It's really quite sad.
Who does this? Who behaves like this?
Yet there she was, relaxed in the back of a luxury car, phone in hand, filming herself as they drove past the place forever linked to Diana's final moments.
She was the villain.
How was she dangerous?
Because of the need for her to rehabilitate her image.
She posted it online with a smile and a filter like it was just another perfect clip.
Meghan is using everything for publicity.
Just another appallingly tone-deaf action.
For millions, it felt cold. For Harry, it was unforgivable. He stayed quiet through years of backlash, but insiders say this time was different. This time, he snapped, and he didn't hold back.
But I have to just say, anyone who has doubted me over the past decade about this evil woman now needs to eat some humble pie, because this video designed to mentally torture her husband.
Sources say he called the act cruel, attention-seeking, and a betrayal of everything his mother stood for. And she did it right after teaming up with Balenciaga.
And she did this all after teaming up with the dodgy child scandal fashion brand Balenciaga during a bizarre trip to Paris.
The brand still clouded by controversy during her Paris trip. Witnesses say the confrontation happened after the show, leaving everyone stunned. Harry accused her of turning grief into content, of using Diana's memory as a way to stay relevant.
If I know that this is a place that my husband hates because it's where he lost his mom, I'm not going to go there.
His words cut through the night like a blade, but that was only the start. Behind closed doors, what began as an argument turned into something louder, a fight their team couldn't contain. Now everyone's asking the same question. Did Meghan know exactly what she was doing near that tunnel, or was it a mistake that went way too far?
Especially when he's on the BBC saying that it's not safe enough for my family in the UK, but it's safe enough for Meghan to be alone in Paris, literally engaging with the paparazzi you say killed your mother.
It was supposed to be Meghan Markle's grand return. The cameras, the lights, the whispers, everything designed for a perfect comeback. Months of silence had built the anticipation, and Paris Fashion Week was the stage she'd chosen for her re-entrance. Front row seats, designer invitations, the kind of setting only a royal could command without a crown. Every step she took looked rehearsed, every glance felt deliberate. This wasn't coincidence, it was choreography. The Meghan brand was back in motion, gliding through the Paris glow like nothing had ever gone wrong. For Harry, it was supposed to be harmless. Just another event, another wave of headlines to ride through until the next quiet day. But to everyone watching, it was more than a photo op, it was a statement. The world saw confidence, control, reinvention. They saw a woman reborn under the flash of 1,000 bulbs. He saw something else, a performance. From the moment she stepped out of the car, the crowd erupted. Paparazzi framed her as radiant, redefined, untouchable. And yet behind that polished smile was a spark that felt too familiar. The same look she wore before every storm. Paris didn't just welcome Meghan Markle, it crowned her. But no one realized the moment the cameras turned, a second lens was already recording something much darker. A clip only a few seconds long, filmed from the back of a car. A clip that would set fire to everything she'd just rebuilt. Because when Meghan's world glows the brightest, that's always when the shadows start to show. Just seconds of footage, that's all it took. A casual clip posted like any influencer moment. Feet up, phone in hand, Paris lights flickering outside the window. But this wasn't any drive through the city. The car glided past the Pont de l'Ama tunnel, the same stretch of road where Diana's life ended.
Well, how about having some thought towards your husband's feelings when you're in the same city his mom died in, running around, having a joyride in Paris near where she lost her life?
Within hours, the internet erupted. Comment sections turned into war zones. Words like tone-deaf, disrespectful, and staged filled every thread. People weren't just angry, they were stunned. To them, it felt like desecration disguised as content. But what made it worse was the silence that followed. No apology, no statement, no sign of remorse. Just Meghan again, smiling under the Paris spotlight as if nothing had happened. Insiders said that wasn't peace, it was strategy. She wasn't ignoring the backlash. She was feeding off it, because the louder the outrage grew, the more cameras turned toward her.
Meghan entered this world like it was a Hollywood set, assuming she could rewrite the script, center herself in every scene, and edit out anything that didn't fit her narrative.
Meghan had mastered that rhythm. Shock, silence, spotlight. Every time she vanished, she came back bigger. But this time felt different. The outrage wasn't fading, it was multiplying. Even her closest supporters began to flinch at the sight of that clip replaying across screens. For Harry, it wasn't an algorithm gone wild. It was personal. Every pixel of that video dragged him back to the night he's tried to forget for decades. And while Meghan smiled for the cameras, Harry saw ghosts in the headlights.
Samantha Markle, Meghan's sister, posted, "Is it true that my sister was doing selfies in the tunnel where Diana died? That's what I'm hearing." Now that would be a really sick example of being a disaster tourist.
At first, people thought it was coincidence. Just another influencer-style clip lost in the endless scroll of Paris content. But the internet doesn't overlook details, especially not when Diana's name is attached. Within hours, digital detectives began to dissect every frame. Zooming in, slowing down, comparing streetlights to old photos. The more they looked, the clearer it became. The route wasn't random. It was the exact same path Diana's car took that night. Every turn, every reflection in the window, every second aligned like a haunting reenactment. This wasn't spontaneity, this was choreography. A performance wrapped in casualness. And when people realized that, the tone changed. What was first seen as a harmless post became a symbol of something colder. Outrage turned to fixation. Threads filled with maps, timestamps, and theories. Some argued it was a tribute, others called it provocation. Fashion bloggers defended her, calling it misunderstood art. Royal reporters called it exploitation, plain and simple. But through it all, Meghan stayed silent, smiling at her next public event as if none of it mattered. That silence, once mistaken for grace, now felt deliberate, like fuel poured on a fire.
Stephanie Sidley, if driving towards Princess Diana's death scene is a message to Prince William, then Meghan Markle is the devil.
Every refusal to speak made the crowd scream louder. For the world, it was shocking. For Harry, it was unbearable. Because in every pixel of that video, he didn't see content. He saw memory. He saw the road that ended his childhood being used to promote a brand. And that's when sympathy began to shift to disbelief. Because if it wasn't coincidence, then it had to be intent. For years, Harry defended her through everything. Every headline, every accusation, every scandal that dragged their names through the mud. But this time, something broke. Witnesses said he walked out of the event without a word. Face tight, jaw clenched, refusing to travel with her afterward. Behind the polished smiles, a storm was already brewing. Insiders say the argument that followed wasn't about fashion or press. It was about the tunnel, about intent, about a wound reopened for the world to see. Harry accused Meghan of using his mother's death as a prop, a currency for relevance. He told her she'd turned tragedy into theater. She reportedly fired back, cold and sharp. "It's just a location, not your property." That sentence hit him harder than anything the media had ever written. Hours later, she appeared again, front row at Balenciaga's show, the same brand still haunted by its child exploitation scandal. For a woman who built her image on compassion, the optics were brutal. Critics called it hypocrisy in high definition. But to Meghan, it wasn't misstep, it was momentum. Each controversy made her name louder. Each backlash turned into another headline. For Harry, it was humiliation. For Meghan, it was marketing. What once looked like partnership now felt like performance. The tension that started in Paris didn't fade. It followed them home. And for the first time, Harry wasn't silent. He'd finally seen what the rest of the world had started to suspect. None of it was an accident.
Did you see this moment right here? It was almost as cringe. She thinks something is funny. It clearly isn't. Turns to Marcus Anderson, her gay BFF who's behind all of this, wanting him to join in. He's like, no way. Just turn around. Behave. I've got this gig for you, you stupid woman. Just behave. And then she's furious.
When the outrage finally cooled, a darker realization began to take shape. This wasn't chaos by accident. It was choreography. Every backlash, every scandal, every silence seemed to fall perfectly into place like pieces of a story designed to keep Meghan's name alive. Insiders started whispering about the cycle: shock, silence, spotlight, a rhythm she never seemed to break. Every uproar landed just before something new: a brand partnership, a charity appearance, a documentary pitch. Outrage wasn't damage, it was marketing. And silence wasn't weakness, it was control. The louder the hate grew, the brighter the cameras flashed. Meghan had turned backlash into oxygen. Even her return to Balenciaga made sense under that lens. A brand still crawling out of controversy, still whispered about for its disturbing campaigns. To most, it was a career risk. To her, it was a calculated comeback. Because outrage equals relevance, and relevance means survival. For Meghan, the formula always worked, but for Harry, the cost was unbearable. He'd begun to see the pattern too, that every firestorm seemed to burn him more than it burned her. His pain became her publicity, his silence her shield, his mother's tragedy her aesthetic, and every time he defended her, he lost another piece of himself to the story she was writing. What once looked like love now felt like leverage. She didn't chase peace, she chased the reaction. The tears, the headlines, the viral debates, it all fed the same machine. A machine that didn't stop for grief, didn't pause for healing, only moved toward the next controversy. And for the first time, Harry saw it for what it was. Not a marriage in crisis, but a brand that thrived on chaos.
Harry and Meghan will likely have their titles stripped. I think they should have their titles stripped. What is she doing for the monarchy? She's going to fashion shows with this horrible outfit, which looks like a bed sheet. Looks like she's wrapped in toilet paper. She's walking around Paris like she's the She's got her arms flowing. She's really feeling her oats. Woman, please go back to California and be with your children and go and find a career other than just being desperate for attention every single day.
The night sky over Paris glowed gold, but between them, the air had turned ice cold. For the first time, Meghan wasn't being photographed as a star. She was being analyzed like a crime scene. Every glance, every blink, every small gesture between her and Harry became proof. Cameras caught her smile fading for a fraction of a second as he walked past her. His jaw tightened, her hand reached out, he didn't take it. No shouting, no scene, just distance. And somehow that silence screamed louder than any argument ever could. Online, people slowed the footage frame by frame, dissecting micro-expressions, labeling emotions like evidence. A half smirk was arrogance, a blink was guilt. Every pixel was picked apart until their relationship looked like a documentary about its own collapse. Days later, Harry stepped out alone. No smiles, no wave. Just a man haunted by a ghost. The world refused to let rest. Meghan, meanwhile, was radiant at a gala dinner, acting as if nothing happened. But insiders said that wasn't peace, it was performance. Behind the practiced smiles, her eyes never stopped scanning the crowd. She wasn't seeking approval anymore. She was measuring control. Because in Meghan's world, every glance, every silence, every backlash is a scene to be edited. For her, control isn't about truth, it's about narrative. For Harry, it's about survival. The more polished her image becomes, the more fractured their reality feels. And somewhere between flashbulbs and whispers, love turned into strategy. What began as a rebellion had become a performance neither of them could stop. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe it wasn't. But after Paris, no one believes anything around them happens by chance. Every move feels rehearsed, every silence suspicious, every smile a setup. What began as a love story has turned into a headline factory, an endless carousel of scandal and spectacle. For years, people saw Harry as the prince who escaped, and Meghan as the woman who gave him freedom. But lately, that story feels upside down, because now the same cameras that once celebrated them are the ones documenting their slow collapse. Harry looks at the past and sees pain. Meghan looks at the same story and sees potential. Between them lies a ghost, the one woman whose name neither of them can escape. Diana's memory was supposed to bring healing, but instead it's become their battlefield. Each time Meghan invokes her, wears her jewelry, or references her struggles, Harry flinches. To him, it's not homage, it's exploitation. To her, it's branding. Insiders whisper that he's spoken of his mother differently these days, not as a saint, but as a woman who wanted peace and never found it. And seeing her tragedy mirrored in his marriage feels like watching the past being replayed in high definition. Only this time, he's the one trapped inside it. Meghan calls it empowerment. The public calls it manipulation. And between those two versions, the truth dissolves into spectacle. Because what once felt like rebellion now looks like repetition, history looping itself for views. Observers close to the royal circle say admiration has turned into imitation. The more Meghan shapes her story, the more it echoes Diana's, but without the tragedy, only the performance. It's not about honoring the past anymore. It's about rewriting it. For Harry, that realization cuts deep. Every headline drags him backward, reminding him that the world will never see him as his own man, only as Diana's son, the boy frozen in grief. And every time Meghan steps into that legacy, he feels the wound reopen, not out of jealousy, but from the exhaustion of watching pain become profit. Meanwhile, Meghan keeps moving. Photos, appearances, partnerships, each framed as resilience, each feeding the same machine. It's a cycle that no apology can stop because it's built on attention, and attention never ends. What began as love has evolved into survival. Hers for relevance, his for peace. Insiders say Harry barely recognizes the life he's living, and maybe that's the cruelest twist of all. The freedom they chased has become another kind of cage, lined with flashbulbs and rumors. The tunnel moment wasn't just a lapse in judgment, it was a mirror, a reflection of what they've become. One chasing peace, the other chasing the lens. And somewhere between grief and glamour, the fairy tale died quietly. Now all that's left is the question neither of them can escape. When everything turns into a headline, how do you tell the truth from the performance?